best I can do with it with an AK as a lefty.
All right, hey guys, we are live.
You know about the M16A1 in Vietnam? Those were terrible.
Well, yeah, those were terrible too, but yeah, they got there. We are live, guys, and we were just discussing Chook got us on an AK thing. Chook is here for a few minutes. He's got to work, so you make sure you go over and subscribe to Chook and then give him a hard time in the comments. And make sure you troll him pretty good. We got Rob with Cherry City Guns and Walsh with Thin Line of Defense Company. He's got a smaller YouTube channel. It's not that small anymore. It's going. So let me just shout out everybody in the chat. Let's see. It looks like Scott Leeper was the first one here. He said, "Hi, Chook," at 3:36 p.m. I'm like, what's Chook doing here at 3:36 p.m.? That's a little weird. I think he meant Chuck, but got confused with you, Chook. It happens all the time, and we really need to remedy this situation, Chook. People start calling me by your name, and I don't want to compliment you like that. So
it's happening at gun shops too. People went into EDC Alaska and be like, "Yeah, Chook, I know him," and then the guy will be like, "What are you talking about?" And meanwhile, they're talking about you.
Oh, yeah, good Lord, and that's just complimenting you in so many ways. You should take it as a compliment. You really should. We got Grizzly Crazy has been here for a while. Yo, what's up, man? Adam Hymas, thank you, man. I have got your package, and it is sitting on my table right now, and I'm just now setting up my reloading stuff and have 2 other projects in front of it, but I will get there as soon as I can, man. 5 and 10 millimeter dies, but man, I really, really appreciate it. That was great, man. I appreciate that. He sent me some bullets, so my wife got the package and couldn't physically pick it up, so it was nice. Thanks again. So, Brownie Sport My Fat is here. Dan O'Neill, good guy, supports the channel really well. Let's see. James Pugh is here. LW Road, also another Alaskan channel. Go subscribe to. Just in Case Holsters, best leather holsters on the market, is here. Discount code Alaskan. Chook, you have a discount code too, don't you?
Yeah, it's just Chooks, I think.
Just Chook, yeah. So
my
we don't get it.
Code's doing the best too.
Yeah. I think mine's got used once or twice, and yours has gotten used like 5 or 6 times, but that's okay. So, yeah, 40 and 10 millimeter dies are interchangeable. Yeah, I know. I got to go pick some up somehow. So Darth Yogi's here, John Eifer, Alaska One Andy, and that looks like it for right about now. There'll be more people jumping in. And as always, this is user-driven, whatever your questions are. You do that. I get you two mixed up so much. Chook works better at branding. Yeah, Chook works better at branding because he's got better logos and stuff like that. He's got those absolutely insane intros to his videos. All right. But I'm going to let everybody go around the room first. Let's talk about who you are. Chook, since you got to go, we'll start with you and talk about who you are, what you got coming out soon, all that kind of jazz.
Yeah, I'm Chook from Chook's Outdoor Adventures. Chuck does a lot of ballistics testing and important work, and I just sit on my couch and talk about Bigfoot and stuff. So it's probably why people like me. Now I've got some new videos coming up of some AKs and some 9mm pistols and stuff that I'm excited about, but that's it.
There we go. Okay, Walsh, go ahead. Tell us about everything.
All right, so yeah, I'm Walsh from Thin Line Defense Co. We're kind of a small channel, but we've been growing pretty quickly. We do a lot of guns, gear, gadgets reviews. Lately, we've been working with Primary Arms, doing a lot of stuff with low power variable optics, going through first focal plane, second focal plane, what our thoughts are. We're going to be diving into some red dots. We got some really high-end 1x8 Lpvos that we're working on right now. We got a video coming out this week. Some really cool stuff. I'm also doing a lot of bag reviews, just general tactical gear. If you want to know what the best battle belts or plate carriers, there's a lot of stuff out there that's just junk. You put it on and it's just like, what is this? And then there's some other really cool stuff that's just kind of hiding in the wings. That's really good. So we work to show you the stuff that just because it's the most expensive, I'm tell you right now, it doesn't mean it's the best. So yeah, that's kind of what we go into. Say, hey, what is this stuff? Is it any good? Similarly, we did the second focal plane versus first focal plane, and we all really loved the second focal plane, which is half the cost. It was really kind of surprising. When we went to use it, we're like, we don't really love it. It's good. Someone probably does love first focal plane, but we, from a tactical standpoint, maybe a competition shooter loves it, but we didn't really enjoy it. So that's why we're going to do the 1x8 this time around and go from there. So that's kind of what I do. And you can talk about first focal plane or second focal plane. Yeah. So I can talk a ton about that. But that's kind of what we do. We go into a lot of tactical gear, a lot of cool stuff. If you want to buy something, I'll tell you what's good and what's garbage, and get you all set up.
Cool. So make sure everybody goes and subscribes to him. If you're one of my mods, make sure you put a link to his channel down in the comments. So, Rob, go ahead. Tell us what's up and what's new, man.
There's a lot new. I had a really important meeting this last week with CMMG. I'm going to do some work with some of their products. Made a big investment today into several $100s worth of steel. Just to try to do some value-added stuff with the channel, kind of setting up a little bit better-looking range, a little bit more exciting. Then I've been just filming a lot of videos. We did some stuff with comparing barrel lengths between like 9mm, going from like a 4-inch barrel, a 3.5-inch barrel, all the way up to a 16-inch barrel to show the velocity differences. Did the same thing with 357 Magnum. Yesterday we put out a new video. It was 500 Magnum versus clay pigeons. See how many clay pigeons we could break. So we just have fun. We don't really have a specific goal with the channel. We're just having fun with guns, and whatever we think that would be fun to play around with, we do it. So.
Now, do you find any sort of accuracy difference? And this is kind of an argument people go into. That we'll say, like, let's say they're building a 10.5 instead of a 16-inch rifle. It's like, well, it's not as accurate. Or some of these, I have a 8-inch 300 blackout, and they'll say, hey, it's not as accurate as maybe a longer barrel. Like, that's not entirely true. And I just want to see if you had any data that validated that when you're kind of doing your testing.
I haven't tested that. That's something that I actually intend to test coming up in the future. I've got a 7.5-inch barreled AR. I've got an 18-inch barreled AR, and I want to mix it up. This was really just the differences in velocity, and also how hard it hits. I mean, I was shooting from 10 feet behind the chronograph, and targets were another 5 feet beyond there, because we were shooting into pork ribs and ballistic gel, water jugs. It was really just how much more velocity and how much harder does it hit.
It's awesome. Cool. Yeah, I gotta check that out. Really cool.
I've done several of those barrel length videos with different calibers myself. But as far as accuracy, my 16-inch is more accurate than my 20-inch AR. And that has to do with the quality of barrel, because my 20-inch is a Palmetto State with a Palmetto State barrel, or whatever barrel they were using at the time. And it can get sub-MOA. I've gotten 3-shot groups that are 3/4 inch several times. But my 10.5-inch is also a Palmetto State, and I don't have it set up with the same optics to really make it a good accuracy comparison. But the conventional wisdom is it's about quality of barrel, not length of barrel, and finding the right round for that quality of barrel, that chamber, the way that chamber fits. So if you take a 270 Winchester bolt gun that likes a certain round, it's going to like that certain round if you keep chopping the barrel off and making sure the crown is good. So is it going to get the velocity to have the same drop at 3 and 4 and 5 and 600 yards? No, but it's gonna do just fine as far as accuracy is concerned, until you get to a point where the bullet's not stabilizing anymore. So for example, if you cut down a 1 in 9 or 1 in 10 270 to like 10 inches, well, there may not be quite enough there to stabilize the bullet. But as far as AR-15 is concerned, when 1 in 7 twist stabilizes everything, 10.5 inches and up, it'll stabilize everything, and even 7.5 stabilizes most things. So
I think it depends. I've got a 7.5-inch barrel, and it doesn't stabilize for nothing. I mean, it's very much an up close and personal round. Otherwise, it's tumbling. It's the accuracy just goes out the window.
What's the twist rate?
That one, I believe, is a 1 in 8.
Okay, and you're shooting what grain bullet?
Most of the time, just the cheap 55 grains.
All right, cool. Oh, Ghost is joining us. Yeah. All right. Hey, Ghost Tactical, man. I just slept through your stream. I'm sorry, man. Good to see you, though. So.
Yeah, man, I have that effect on people, so thanks for having me.
Oh, no problem. Well, my infant son I was watching him while my wife went to the store, so he fell asleep in bed, and so I was watching a program, Stargate, because I'm a huge science fiction nerd, and so. Yeah. So anyway, first focal plane versus second focal plane. It's a topic Big Al has got us on, and we have kind of ignored his topic for a while. So I'm going to be playing catch up in the comments. I say I actually like second focal plane in long range optics.
Ooh.
And first focal plane in short range optics. I'm weird. That is not the standard answer. And here's why. I'm a hunter, and I do everything in the reticle. Okay, I don't dial. Mostly because I noticed while you're hunting, rubbing up against brush, your rifle's in your pack, it's rubbing on your pack. Those dials will turn on you, and you don't know which way. I've had them turn all the way around, and so you don't know which way zero is. All right.
Same.
And so I've actually, if you look at my Bergara in my caribou hunting video, you'll notice the dials are electrical taped around it, so that they don't move. And so if you don't dial, you do everything in the reticle. Then let's say he's at 475, and my matches, my hash marks here, my mill lines, MRAD lines here are 425 and 58 or 482 or something like that, and he's at 460, right? Well, I can actually dial down the power of the scope just a hair and have that line match it. And so I don't have to mess with the turrets or worry about returning my zero or anything like that for that purpose. I got two scopes that I do that with. I have a Nikon Black X 1000, 4.5 to 16. I traded Chuk for actually, and I have a Leupold VX5 HD that I just got. That is, a massage on the eyeballs as far as the scope goes, and I like that. Now, when I talk about SIG, I have a SIG Tango 1-4, and it's a first focal plane, and it's actually really good. It's heavy, all right, but we have it on my wife's 18-inch AR, and on one power with the illuminated, it's a red dot. I mean, you just got to put your head in the right place, but it's a red dot, all right? On 4 power, you turn it up, and the hashes are there to make 300 and 400 and 500-yard shots, actually up to 800-yard shots. And it does a really, really nice job. Okay. So I know Chuk has to go because of work, so I'm going to let him answer the question first. What do you think about first focal plane?
Yep. You're doing it again, Chuck. Yep. No, I agree with you. I use the reticle. Absolutely. I like the locking dials or just a hunter style that you twist on. I'm not quite as good of a shot as Chuck, so it typically takes me an extra 2 or 3 shots to kill my animal compared to Chuck, which usually kills his the first shot, but that's okay. At least I still get animals.
Yeah. Hey, who got a caribou this year? Anyway.
You did, not me.
Yeah. Anyway, so but yeah, first focal plane versus second focal plane. You got any thoughts on that, Chuk?
First focal plane I like.
There you go. All right. Ghost, what do you think? First focal plane versus second focal plane. What do you like?
I personally like second focal plane. I like keeping my reticle kind of smaller, even if you're magnified. I do see the value, though, for someone who's maybe getting into long distance shooting, whether it's hunting or precision, where the first focal plane would help. I don't like my reticle changing. That's just me. That's just something that I don't like. But I do think there's a very much of value, especially for someone who's just getting into it, where that first focal plane will probably do them some good for sure, especially long range stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Rob, I'm going to let Walsh here answer it last, since he has a wealth of knowledge on it. He's just done some videos on it. Rob, what do you think? First focal plane versus second focal plane?
Second. I'm a second focal plane guy.
Cool.
If I were to step into like F-class competition shooting or something like that, or maybe PRS shooting, maybe I'd go with the first focal plane. But second focal plane, especially if you're talking like low power optics, second focal plane. I'm never going to use the first focal plane. You know, like I've got one set up with the Vortex Strike Eagle on its, you know, second focal plane, and I think it was Chuk that was saying it, or maybe it was you, Chuck. You go down on 1 power and illuminate it. It's like you're using a red dot, but then I can still crank it up to 8 power and, you know, do some distance with it. But yeah, I don't really see first focal plane being of incredible use, unless you're in a situation where you're constantly having to try to use your reticle to judge your distance, because it definitely comes in handy for that. But yeah, pretty much second focal plane for me.
Yeah. All right, Walsh, unlock Pandora's box here. What do we got?
Okay, so I'm going to start. So it kind of goes into two different things. So if we're using a 5.56 223, my answer is very, very specific in saying that second focal plane. And that's kind of because the effective range of that bullet and where you're going to be engaging. If you're engaging multiple targets at 500 or 600 rounds, man, you're a superhero. But that's probably not going to be what you're going to do. So let's talk about what you said with the 1x4, where you said the 1 is really good and the 4 is really good. And this is what we ran into. I love the 1 and I love the 6, but I was never in the middle. I was never at like 4.2 or like 3.8. It just never happened. So the whole advantage of the first focal plane is that you can go in those in-between spaces, but we were never using it. So it became pretty useless. And then the 1X, and yours may be different. I know the SIG is significantly more expensive. The primary arms is a bit of a budget entry, and I think it's really good for what it is. But that reticle is not daytime bright. And I will say you probably have to have a first focal plane scope, a 1x6, probably in a 2 or 3 magnification to see that reticle properly. So now it's a 3x6. And then at that point, I can get some way cooler. Give me a 4x14. If I mean, that's what we want to do. And I get some way cooler stuff. And it's heavy. The first focal plane is significantly heavier. I just didn't find a situation where I was like, good thing I have this first focal plane. Now, I do want to expand that, though, because I also, on my long range, I do run first focal plane. I think there is a spot where the magnification range, when the gap is big enough, so like a 1x10, suddenly have more space where the first focal plane has an advantage. So that's a good question. Is that where it becomes more advantageous? 1x4, 1x6? Nah, I'd get second focal plane all day. Save yourself a couple $100. Get a really good optic. You're only going to ever be at 1, and if you really need to, or at 6. I mean, we've used one of the guys with me, Cody. He just puts it at full 6. He's like, I'm just never going to change it from 6. I'm like, oh, well, that's one way to do it too. But you're never going to be at like, man, I really just need to be at 3.2. The magnification isn't enough to really make a difference. I think a 1x8 could be a little bit different. We're going to try that out. I'm curious if there's enough in between space. I think a 1x10, when you talk to that, I would be pretty upset if I had to be at 10 magnification to make like a 150-yard shot. I'd be like, I don't have the bullet drop for this, and now I'm at 10 magnification. I think that would be annoying to have that at second focal plane. Yeah. But I do love precision scopes. My 5x30. Yeah, that's my second focal plane.
Right.
All right, Chuck, I gotta run to work. I just want to say, hunt with milsurps and put Punisher skulls on your pistols. So I'll see you next time.
All right. I'll see you. See you, Chuk.
See you guys. Nice meeting you.
All right. All right. Now that we got the peanut gallery out of the way, I'm just kidding, Chuk. You're still listening, I know. All right. So, yeah. So I think there's a use for both, and I think exactly what you're saying. Like, so for hunting on a 4 to 16 or I got a 3.5 to 10, 15 or whatever it is, like second focal plane is really useful for dialing the power down, and then you have different things in your reticle. But if you're actually dialing for your drop and distance, then it's not probably all that useful.
See, I'm a holdover guy too. So even when I shoot precision, I just know I don't change. Like a bunch of people change their dials and stuff.
Me too.
I don't do that. So same with the first focal plane. I'll just run it out to whatever, and it's like, oh hey, it's 200 yards. Like, okay, well cool, that's 0.3 in mils, and it's a 300. Okay, it's 1.1, and just knowing what you're gonna be at, and then you just adjust, hold over. You're not sitting there like click, 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 click. That's just a huge waste of time. Especially when you're hunting. From a hunting, even from a tactical standpoint, you don't got time to just be sitting there and clicking things around. You need to just put on target, make the adjustment, take the shot.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's a huge point that a lot of people, especially when they start getting into, like you said, something outside that 200-300 yard range, people don't think about holds, and they don't even may not even know what a hold is. And so if you've got a 100-yard zero, you need to know what your hold is at 25 yards. You need to know what your hold is at 300 yards. And on holds, especially if you've got like a scope or an optic that's set at 100, that's why I go with a 36-yard zero, because I know anywhere I don't plan on going outside of 300 yards. I know that my point of aim is going to hit a 6-inch diameter at anywhere from 7 yards to 300 yards with that 1-0. But if I want to be precise, I need to understand that I need to hold a little bit higher, closer in, a little bit lower, farther out. So I think holds are extremely important. I think that's a part of shooting that most people neglect a lot of times.
Yeah, exactly. And I want to add on that too. For like when we start talking about 1x6s and 1x4s, usually you're talking about 5.56 or 2.23. And kind of what he was just saying, if you zero your red dot properly, you don't need anything. Like how we just 36. I do a 5,400 zero, a 53, whatever it is, the 50-yard zero. So it basically lets you can hit a target out to 400 yards, and then I can shoot from 50 yards to 400 yards with just a red dot, and then shoot a little bit low or shoot a little bit high when you within 10 yards. And then you don't need magnification. You don't need anything special. You don't need any sort of magic. You can just sit there with a garbage Sig Romeo 5 and you're drilling targets at 400 or 50 yards. So that's something we're going to get into too. What is our thoughts? LPVOs versus red dots. There's significant trade-offs going into the LPVO also. That is a red dot just as easy if you know how to zero and use it the right way, knowing all your bullet trajectories. So yeah, awesome. Yeah, exactly. Completely agree.
All right. Okay, let's go out and get to my second question here. Big Al wants to know how come he can't click on the thumbnail and get the channel now. That's weird.
Yeah, YouTube stopped that several months ago for some reason. Yeah,
that's crazy. Yeah, I noticed that myself. Should send you some 200 grain federal premium bear claws to test on the Chica 30-06. Think about getting one to finally bringing it on my first Western hunt, looking at spring black bear in Idaho. That's a good one. If you can ship me ammo, let me know, because I want to know how. Because generally speaking, you either have to send it next day air, or it's got to go through customs and an importer-exporter to get to Alaska. So, yeah, sorry. That's why we buy all our ammo on the shelf. I don't order ammo online. I don't even look at ammo online anymore. That's that. So, yeah. See, I have a 250 grain Nas for petition elk and 310 Woodley for bison hunt. Oh, that's nice. 3. I must know whether that's a 3 or. All right. My favorite scope reticle, triangle post number 4 German duplex. I would have to say it's got its merits, sure, especially for like an AR-15 for doing what you said, just close range, 36-yard zero, and everything's quick. Yeah, I could see where that, especially if it were a modern scope illuminated, that'd be fine. I prefer to have holdovers for longer range, but you like what you like. That's good. All right. You ready for buying? Y'all ready for buying and take your grizzly protection guns? Well, he's going to have to come find me in grizzly country first. So there is that. All right. Well, if I don't get him, the grizzly will. Because by golly, I'm going to have a ton of bacon on me. So good luck with that. So the only one that's going to take your guns away is you. Do something stupid and get them taken away. Nobody's going to come to your door. They're not that dumb. Okay. They're going to get it through taxes. Okay. They're going to get it through, forcing the law on others. But they're going to pick up your kids from school and take them to DFACs until you turn in your guns. But they're not going to come door to door to get your guns. So good luck with that, by the way, everybody. So I'm not worried about it. So I know where I'm going when I die, and we'll take a few with me probably. That's that. So I thought Chook got a caribou with a Moisner. Is that an older video? I think that was an older video. Let's see. Oh, Big Al asked earlier, 10 millimeter. Well, is way up here. I forgot all about that. 10 millimeter, 6-inch versus long slide. Are you meaning like a regular 10 millimeter versus a 6-inch long slide? Because 6-inch is considered the long slide. I know there is a 7-inch 10 millimeter 1911 out there, and that would be fun to play with. Yes. As a 10 millimeter guy, I'm telling you the 6 to 6.5 inch barrels that I use in the Glock 40, both the Glock standard barrel and the Model 40 barrel I got from KKM, absolutely rock the velocity. It's enough to make a big difference over a Glock 20, for example, with the 4.5 inch barrel. I mean, I'm getting 100 to 100, and depending on the lot number of ammo, I'm getting to 100 to 150 feet per second more than the Glock 20 with a 6.5 inch KKM barrel, which, almost 2 inches longer. I'm thinking about, and it has a tighter chamber fit and a tighter lockup because of the tighter chamber fit. So you're losing as much velocity on the back end either during the gun's dwell time. So I would say if you're buying 10 millimeter, if you're looking for the most velocity, which 10 millimeter guys are, all right, then you get a 6-inch barrel model. I would say, if you just wanted to get into a 6-inch barrel, get a 6-inch barrel 1911. If you really want a bear defense gun, get a Glock Model 40, and then add a KKM barrel in it. Anyway, sorry, my dog's on her squeak, or my wife's dog's on her squeaky toy.
How much more velocity do you think you get out of like a 8.5 inch barrel 10 millimeter?
As soon as I send that 9-inch barrel back to Lone Wolf and they get it fixed on the feed ramp, then I'll let you know. I'm assuming most pistol calibers burn out in 10 inches of barrel completely. So anything over 10, I would say, is useless. That being said,
are you talking non-Magnum pistol calibers?
Yeah, talking non-Magnum. So yeah, obviously 44 Magnum loaded with the right powder is going to burn a 20-inch lever action carbine. It's going to burn all the way down the barrel. But
a 15-inch Rossi with 357 Magnum, 158 grain hollow point, I got a 5-shot average of 1797.
Yeah, they were telling me about that. So
freaking cooking 357.
But that is only 200 feet per second more than I got out of the 158 grains I shot out of my 6-inch. So
really?
Yeah, 200. Yeah, because I was getting 1500 with those, and 200 feet per second more is about what you expect out of a pistol caliber carbine. And it really depends. Like, so for 45 ACP, for example, with a 230 grain bullet, it's only going to be 100 feet per second more because that 230 grain bullet is long and all the powder is burned out by 10.5 inches. And now you just have friction of the barrel and air pressure going this way versus the pressure that was coming this way because it's all burned out. And so it's just traveling on inertia there, and it has things to slow that down. So if you gain to gain with 45 ACP, and we did this on my friend who had a Chris Vector and 16-inch, to gain on 45 ACP, all right, you have to have a like a 185 grain or a 200 grain plus P, something that's jacked up a little bit in velocity to begin with, and the bullet isn't quite as long to cause more friction. So now, granted, I was shooting
in a 4-inch barrel. A 4-inch barrel is getting under 12.
Yeah,
with the exact same ammunition.
Yeah. So I was using Grizzly ammunition, which was 158 grain, jacket to hollow point. And it's hot stuff to begin with, so it would have got 13, 14 in your 4-inch barrel. But
this was all stuff loaded by me, max charges of H110.
Yeah. So that's pretty significant though. So going from a 4 to 16 inches, that's a huge jump. So 400 feet per second.
I was shocked. I was truly shocked.
Yeah. But you're not going to get like 9 millimeter. I've been told if you go 147 grain, same story as a 230 grain. But you get you get a 90 grain in a 9 millimeter with a max charge. That thing's going to be flying out of a 16-inch barrel. Because it doesn't have enough mass or length to cause more friction, and you have a lot more powder charge. So, like you would use a slower burning pistol powder of like HS6 or something like that, right? And give it a max grain of HS6 and see how fast it goes down that barrel. Of course, if you put a 90 grain XTP in a barrel and it's going that much faster, all it's going to do is open up faster and not penetrate. So there is that. So that's that. But anyway, let's go around the room. 10 millimeters. Get back on. Big Al wants to know, 10 millimeter. Would you go regular 5-inch 1911 or 4.66 or whatever it is inch Glock 20, or would you go 6-inch long slide for a 10 millimeter? All right. Ghost, I know you're not a 10 millimeter guy, so I'll let you answer first. You can even think, if velocity is your key, you can even answer for 9 millimeter. Which would you go for?
If velocity is what you're looking for, I mean, I'll go with the 6-inch. And it really all depends on what you're looking for. I mean, if you're looking to carry that gun, then the Glock 20 to 4.5-inch, barrel might be a better gun for you to carry. But if it's just a plinking or hunting or whatever, yeah, if you're not going to carry it, the 6-inch is probably going to be the longer slide at any caliber is going to be the better option. But you also have to take in consideration what your purpose is with that gun.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. Now, when you say carry, we're talking about concealed carry, EDC.
Yes, correct. EDC, yes.
Versus on a chest rig for carrying in the woods here. It's a big difference. So, I mean, my wife carries the Glock 40 with the KKM barrel here for bear protection when she goes out hiking or walking or anything like that. So, all right, Walsh, why don't you go ahead? What do you think? 6-inch? Would you go 6-inch or would you go like a regular slide? Whether call it 1911 or Glock 20 versus Glock 40 or Springfield.
I go for the regular slide. I'm a guy with a 300 blackout with a 7-inch barrel. I don't mind losing the velocity over the advantage of the carrying. Like we talked about, there's only a difference of 200 feet per second, right? So that's a difference, and not to be measured. I mean, we still got to get that exact, but it's probably 200 to 300 feet per second if you did all the math exactly. It's way more likely that you're not going to need that extra range because, as we talked about, it's going to give you some extra distance. The likelihood of you engaging something with that, probably to defend yourself, so it's going to be within 10 to 20, 50 yards maybe. 50 yards, you probably have enough room to run. So my thoughts, I would rather have something that's more agile, easy to carry, because if the bigger it gets, I'm lazy. The less likely I'm going to carry it. So then the less likely I'm going to have it available. I'm going to be like, I'm going to put it somewhere because I'm starting to get lazy. I'm starting to get tired. I'm going to put it somewhere that's not as accessible. Or if it's small, easy to carry, easy to deal with, that's going to be my answer because it's more likely I'm going to have it when I need it.
Right. Yeah. Again, so it's about purpose. Like Ghost was saying, what are you wanting it for? I have seen what bullets do going through a grizzly bear skull, and I can tell you if they don't penetrate because of velocity or bullet construction, you might get eaten. So I'd say like here in Alaska, you'd obviously want that extra 6 inches of barrel, my personal opinion, because you're not carrying it concealed. And the Glock 40 is actually not that much heavier than the Glock 20 if you look at the specs online. In fact, the slide is actually thinner but longer, and that's how they dealt with the weight of the difference of the slide instead of cutting a hole in it like Springfield did, or like they do on the Glock 34. So it's actually not that much heavier, but it is unwieldy because of the long draw, but it draws better than say a 6-inch revolver, which has the length of the barrel plus the length of the frame, Rob, what do you think? Are you a 10 millimeter guy? Do you have 10 millimeter?
I am a 10 millimeter guy. I am not a fan of a carry 10 millimeter. I just don't feel like you get 10. If you're going to a really short barrel for carry, I really don't see much advantage over a 40 Smith & Wesson. So if I'm going 10, I want as long a barrel as I can to get as much velocity as I can. It's not going to be an everyday carry.
Cool.
I would say if you're going to do it, and I would agree with that, except I would not throw the 40 Smith. I would say something like a 357 SIG would probably be something that over a 40 Smith. If I wouldn't go 10, 357 SIG, I love the ballistics of the 357 versus a 40. That's just me. But yeah, I agree with what you're saying. If you're going to carry, 10 millimeters is probably not the greatest caliber to conceal carry to begin with, or other options that do that. But so I agree 100% what you're saying.
So I'm going to take issue with that. I get what y'all are saying. I have a Glock 29, the little 3.79-inch barrel Glock. I bought it because it was a great deal that day, and I impulse buy and Black Friday in the local gun shop when I was going to buy something at Cabela's, but whatever. And it's been great. And I did a video on 40 versus 10 millimeter, and we used the 200 grain hard cast out of each one. I don't know if you guys saw the video or not. It's got like 25,000 views. It was actually a pretty successful video for me. And that actually, the 40, I shot it out of my 6.5 inch KBKM barrel 10 millimeter. And you're not supposed to, because it headspaces on the extractor. So you're not supposed to do it, but people do it all the time with no issues, right? So I don't do it on a regular basis, but I shot the 40 200 grain hardcast out of the 6.5 inch barrel. Now, granted, it may not have a tight as chamber fit on the 40 Smith & Wesson round as it does a 10 millimeter round, but the velocity didn't even break 1100 with that 200 grain. It's rated for 1,000 on the box, right? And a 6.5 inch barrel, you'd think maybe it'd get close. I think it was like 1075 was the highest reading, right? I shoot the same 200 grain projectile from Underwood. They're both loaded by Underwood out of the Glock 29. It's in the 1140s. It's rated at 1250 on the box. So even in that small gun, 10 millimeter beats 40. So
you feel like that 50 feet per second is significant enough to really make a difference?
Well, it's more
like everyday carry, against, if you're using it for protection from not grizzly bears. We're talking two-legged threats.
Well, that's where if you're talking two-legged threats. Now that was bear defense ammo. So if you're talking two-legged threats, my Glock 29 with the 155 grain Underwood XTPs gets decent expansion and almost 700 foot-pounds of energy. And I dare you to find a 40 round that gets close to that. So
I had a Glock 29. I didn't like it. I got rid of it.
Yeah, my wife doesn't like it.
I like 10 millimeter. I'm a big 10 millimeter fan, but in that package, I just wasn't a fan.
Yeah. All right, Teddy, good guns. Yeah, I don't recommend a 1911 10 millimeter for bear country. Maybe for hard Spinard. Spinard is a neighborhood here in Anchorage in Anchorage. I'm not here in Anchorage anymore. That's a little bit. There's a reason why they call it Los Anchorage. All right, whatever. So there is that. So I'm trying to go through here and find questions. Walsh, you got anything on the 10 millimeter long slide versus? Or I already asked you. You were go. Yeah. 40 versus 10 millimeter as a carry. I like my Glock 29. I'd rather carry it than carry my 40s. In fact, one of my 40s is a P239, and I always ride the slide because of the thin grip. I ride the slide release, the slide stop, and so it never holds open on the last shot. So that's just like a kitchen drawer gun, literally. It stays there. I don't carry it, but it is a 40 Smith & Wesson. It's a great gun. I love the gun. It's very, very accurate. Sorry, my dog is barking at something. So no. Yeah, go ahead, Walsh. I interrupted you.
No, I was just saying I'd already kind of talked on the 10 millimeter. I don't have a whole lot of input, but I will say on a carry on, I've carried 45 and carried 40, and obviously I'm not shooting at bears. Most my threats are of the two-legged kind. But I only carry 9. Like I really don't do, because of the technology and the 9 millimeter bullets nowadays. I really don't carry anything else. It can put a lot more targets in a much smaller package. So maybe, I can shoot slower with a 40. Yeah, it packs more punch, but really, when you kind of look at, the FBI kind of puts out their annual reports, and it kind of says like how many shots it takes when someone gets killed. And usually it doesn't really matter the caliber. It's about 2. It doesn't matter with the caliber, 2 to the body or 1 to the head. Same with 22. So if you really kind of funny, it's just as dangerous as some of the bigger calibers. So in that point, when I talk EDC, I start to think about what I'm more accurate with repeated shots, accuracy at speed. And with the 9, I could be stupid fast. 40 and 45, I probably could be there. I just don't train into it probably as much. But the 9's I don't fight bears. You fight bears.
I couldn't agree with you more, Walsh. I've gotten to the point that really 9 millimeter is about all I carry. I can take a follow-up shot so much quicker. The capacity. I want capacity, and I want quick follow-up shots.
Yeah, and I understand that. For carry in the city or going to the store, I generally have a 9mm on me or in my pocket as a backup, one of the two. Like I've been pocket carrying my Glock 43 a lot.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I've been pocket carrying my Glock 43 a lot, even when I've been carrying my 357 mag or my 10 mil or my 45 or whatever. My pocket carry is usually my Glock 43. So
if it was just a little bit more reliable, I would seriously consider carrying my Kel-Tec 22 mag.
And there you go. All right. I had a comment in here I wanted to bring up because it related to something we did, but we're saying, well, Adam here says on my 1 to 6, the only time I use the 2 to 4X is when I'm shooting at close targets, 100 yards or less that are very small. All right, on anything 200 yards plus, I'm using 6X. So yeah, like you're saying, he hardly ever uses it as well. So it's a good thing. Good. Oh, here it is. My Marlin gets at least 50 feet per second more than the 20-inch with 296 H110 44 mag. There you go. So 24-inch to 20-inch.
H110 is nice, slow-burning powder. It really likes that longer barrel length.
Yeah, I bet that is a really, really good combo right there. And one thing people need to understand in this time of anti-guns, having a lever action that matches your handgun can be a nice little perfect combo type thing. I mean, if I need to scoot out into bear country and I've got a 44 mag and a 44 mag lever action, and that's what I'm bugging out with, it'll get you to something else if you need something else, that's for sure. I mean, and plus big brown bears, big moose, you could eat for a while on a moose. So something to think about. So
that's how it was. There was a time in the Old West days that the U.S. Cavalry were carrying 45 Colt, single actions and 45 Colt lever actions.
Absolutely. Didn't you do this video, Rob? Review wants us to chronograph a 10mm high point, 16.5 inch. Don't you have one?
I want to. I wouldn't mind getting a 10mm high point to do that. I'm going to be able to get you some data on an 8.5 inch 10mm out of a CMMG Banshee before too long.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've often thought that high point 10mm has got to be just kicking ass at that. I mean, at that length of barrel, it's got to be just smoking.
Yeah, I would say it's probably at 12 to 14 inches is probably at where it's going to completely burn everything. Mm-hmm. So with the right powder, you could probably, and the right bullet, and I would love to see the 155 grain Underwood shot out of that because it's a shorter bullet with a lot of powder. That'd be a lot of fun. 6.5 by 300.
Like 9mm though, you'll still see velocities go up. It's just in much smaller increments. I went from a 3.5 inch barrel 9mm to an 8.5 inch, and I gained 100 feet per second. And then I doubled that again, went from an 8 to a 16, and only got another 50.
Yeah.
So there is a point of diminishing returns.
Right. Joel here wants to know 6.5 by 300. So he's talking about there is a 6.5 by 300 Weatherby casing type thing out there. It's a kind of a wildcat round. I would say great round on anything you want to. It'll shoot way flatter than a 6.5 Creedmoor. There's a 6.5 by 30-06, 6.5 PRC. It'll outdo all those. But what you're going to have to do is buy a barrel every 600 to 700 rounds. The 6.5 and even the 270 to some point, and even the 25-06 are known as throat burners right there. I had a really bad Browning barrel that it burned the throat out on, and I had to keep lengthening my hand load until it couldn't fit in the magazine anymore, just to match where I wanted the bullet to hit the lands to get the accuracy I needed when I was hand loading. So you're going to run into that with 6.5 by 300. That's why the 6.5 PRC is going to go away, and the 6.5 by 284 Norma is not that popular compared to the 6.5 Creedmoor, because the Creedmoor gets within 100 feet per second of those with good hand loads and doesn't burn out the barrel and get the throat burn because of the shape of the case. So that's one reason why it's a really popular round and why I have 3 of them. And contrary to and all my 6.5 Creedmoor videos, people are like, well, it doesn't knock down a deer. Well, it knocked down a caribou at 282 yards, one shot. I mean, don't tell me your Navy SEAL friend who can shoot it can't hit a deer, So there is that. So that's that. Anybody else have any experience with that? I'll open it up to the room if you got experience with that that caliber in particular, or any 6.5 Wildcat caliber.
I work site and service at my gun club every year leading up to deer season. And we had a customer on my bench that had a 6.5 300 Weatherby. He was having a hard time placing shots because there's just so much. He had a muzzle brake on it. I think he was mainly flinching because of the amount of blowback coming into his face. And he was having a hard time getting it on target because he was just flinching so hard every time he shot. I've shot a lot of guns with muzzle brakes, 338 Lpvos, and on down from there with muzzle brakes. So I'm used to the blowback. But that 6.5 300 Weatherby was the loudest gun I have ever heard go off. And like you said, it might be great, but your throat's going in no time. Your barrel life is going to suffer terribly. If you only hunt with it, you shoot it a couple times right before hunting season to make sure your scope's still dialed in. You put a couple rounds on animals, it's not going to be a problem. But yeah, long term, if you shoot it with any regularity, you're going to buy a new barrel.
Anybody else?
I don't have any experience with the 300, but one of my best friends shoots the 6.5 270, and you were talking about 600 rounds. He got barely over 500 before his barrel was done. It wasn't 550. It was like barely over 500, and it might be the different loads and all that he was using. But yeah, if you start going to some of those Wildcats, I mean, that's something that people don't take into consideration. That you better be ready after 500 rounds. You got to start checking on a regular basis on those barrels for sure.
That's crazy.
The exact same problem with the 6.5 .6 AI. Just didn't last.
Because I'm angry because I shoot 6.5 Creedmoor, and I'm angry that I got to change barrels at 3,000. 25 to 3,000. I got to be looking at it. You told me at 500, I'd be like, you guys are jerks. Like, why did I buy this? Just buy me a couple barrels at the same time. I'll chime in too that I really don't like Wildcat rounds, and I say that coming from world's gone awry standpoint. Now you got a gun that you probably are just going to ditch. If you have, I like to run common calibers because you're probably going to run into them if you come into a stockpile. You get somewhere you need to, you're going to be able to restock. You're going to be able to. If you came to me and be like, hey, can I restock my 6.5 300? I'd be like, no. We can kill bears with it.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, I got this 6.5.
Wildcats cause innovation.
Yeah, sure. I
There's
got
a lot of calibers now that were Wildcats at one day.
True. 6.5 Creedmoor was a Wildcat at one day. Well, not so long ago, really. Not in the 300 blackout.
Yep.
Yeah.
The best I ever shot was a Wildcat.
Yeah, because originally.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. No, I was saying the best Wildcat I ever shot was the 408 Tejas.
I'm not catching any of that.
Say it again.
Yeah. Ghost, do it.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Can now.
Okay, that's weird. Internet. You got to figure. Yeah, internet probably. But no, I said that the best Wildcat that I ever shot is the 408 Tejas, and it's basically a 408 Chi-Tech Wildcat. But it was something that I was expecting, like this huge punch in the shoulder. It was like a 308. It was a phenomenal. A buddy of mine broke the world record with over 5,000 yard shot with it, and I was expecting this huge thing. It was like a 308. It was awesome. So that's my favorite Wildcat.
Yeah, I have the 6.5 by 284 Norma, which was wildcatted in the 70s and standard by Norma in the 1990s, 1999 actually. So it took them like 25 years to 30 years to standardize it, right? It was really popular in Europe, and I traded the 2.5-inch 44 Magnum I had because it just wasn't stabilizing any bullets, right? And and I just got it to play around with on the channel. It's not something I'm going to do that, but I can tell you one thing: I know of at least one shop, possibly two, possibly three, that I can go and they have that ammo on the shelf, and it's easier to find than 9mm right now. So,
All the weird stuff is the easiest stuff to find right now.
yeah, yeah. And I have to say that is a joke, but I get where Walsh is coming from. Like that, like if my neighbors are like the shit hits the fan, the Russian zombies have parachuted over, and it's the Russian zombie apocalypse, which is not that far from my house, you know. So anyway, they've parachuted over and whatever, and I have to trade a gun out to my neighbors, and they're like, "What do you got?" You know, I'll have a couple hundred rounds for it eventually. Not at $60 a box. I'll hand load for it. Fortunately, when I traded for the gun, it came with 4 or 5 boxes of Lpvos brass, so that was nice.
Well, the one thing that people need to realize is if you're worried about that Red Dawn scenario, go get yourself a rifle chambered in 7.62 by 39 or 7.62 by 54R, because that's what they're coming with, guys. Let's be real.
Yeah, there is that.
Those rounds everywhere. Yeah.
Yep. I figure if I need a rifle chambered in 7.62 by 39, there'll be plenty laying around.
With those though, because we spiced a bunch of those rounds, so a lot of those are set to
Blow up.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of them that are spiced. So if you found rounds of those, I would be particularly careful.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, question here: Magnum in Imus. Sorry, first time I'm seeing on the chat. Welcome. Why does the military look like they're going to go with 300 Win Mag over 338? I'm assuming this is particularly a long range scenario. Walsh, do you know?
No, unfortunately, I don't have any sort of insight into this. I will say that I wouldn't count on them choosing the most accurate or the best bullet. I would say sometimes the decisions on what they're going to go with is more contractual or price based. To say that it really does come down to it. Like, hey, how much can we get the 300 for over the 338? And if it's twice the price, I hate to tell you, I can tell you which one they're going to buy. And sometimes it comes to parts and reliability. So even then, there's more pieces to it. Like, how much are these parts going to cost? Well, one is twice as much as the other. Like, well, again, that's going to slide it. So it sounds silly, but sometimes the accuracy of the round is tertiary.
Yeah,
you also have to understand the Marine Corps. They don't, and I can't speak for the branch, but the Marine Corps, you know, like our sniper, he had his choice when he went through Scout Sniper School. He could choose at that time. He could still use 50 BMG if he wanted to. You know, he could choose whatever. He chose a 338 Lapua because the McMillan 338 Lapua just felt right to him. Now, I'm not saying that they're not going to push you towards something, but I would have suspect that if you've got a guy who's going through whatever sniper school that branch gives, they're going to test them on different ones. They're going to find out what actually fits that shooter more than anything. So, you know, as much as they would probably like to shove down calibers down someone, I think they ultimately want them to be comfortable with that caliber and that rifle system.
Yeah, it completely was what Ghost saying. Once you get into special operations, all the normal, hey, this is what infantry gets, and y'all get what you get. All that gets thrown out the window. Like you get whatever you want. Completely saying it gets totally different out there when you're a one-man army. Totally different scenario. I don't know anything about it, but I know that they don't operate the same as I do.
Cool. Dan O'Neill, let me know how that works. Foxtrot Mike 9 16-inch will be here Wednesday. Ordered 3 months ago. There you go. That'll be fun.
Foxtrot Mike 5-inch that I love, except the lower. I had a little issue with the trigger assembly, so let me know if it's the same on the lower. I start getting some double taps in there. Let me know. I want to hear if the 16-inch has the same problem.
So yeah, we did a CMMG build. We did 2 CMMG builds. We were going to do the Foxtrot Mike and decided to do the CMMG, basically the AR-15s with all the CMMG parts in them. So yeah, I'm interested. I almost went that route, so that's interesting to hear.
So okay, so Big Al is talking about wild boar that they've imported here, and that's why he wants to bring the 10 with him. So it'll never be a CC for me. Plus they're cool as hell. So yeah, in that case, you go with 6-inch barrel, because you really do get more penetration from the Glock 40 than you do the Glock 20 and 29. I've done tons of videos on it. So, yeah.
Don't miss. You got one shot.
Yeah, don't miss. That's for sure. Yeah. There's a guy in the 10mm Facebook group who posts up his pictures on hogs all the time, and he shot a hog with a Glock 40 KKM barrel, 7-inch KKM barrel, and it was charging him, and he shot it right in the head, and it just folded.
I saw a tricky shot the other day. There was a guy. It was two hunters together. There was a so he's looking. You're from the view of the buddy, and there's a boar actually charging his friend. The friend misses the shot, and the buddy takes the shot at the boar. The boar had to be 3 to 5 yards from him. Oh, super iffy shot. Basically shooting at his buddy, but he saved him. So in the end of the day, you're like, man, thanks for shooting at me.
Yeah.
One of my places where I shoot some of my videos, like where I shot my Thanksgiving Tannerite video, that friend, he actually put down a pretty good size meat cow this last week with one shot from a Kimber 10mm right between the eyes. 10mm is pretty badass.
Absolutely. So, American Fitness, I like the idea of a lever gun pistol match, except for the fact that my only lever action is a 45-70 and don't feel like buying a BFR 45-70 single action revolver. He's got a point there. It's probably not the way you want to match it. So there's that.
I shot a contender in 45-70, and talk about wrist breaker. Holy crap.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, and to me, though, like, if you're going to have a rifle, have a rifle. I know the whole match your mags thing, but if I'm going to carry the weight of a rifle, I want the power of a rifle. And I understand that 357 Magnum and 44 Magnum get more power out of a rifle length barrel, but they don't get as much power as, say, 6.5 Creedmoor, right? As far as actual kinetic energy. Now, do they have bigger, better penetrating bullets for bears? Yes, absolutely. But are they really going to get? They're not going to break that, 1,300 foot-pounds of energy. 44 mag might break 1,700 pounds of energy out of a rifle with the right rounds. But, I'm one of those that if you're in the woods, if you're having to bug out and you're worried about your gun having the same pistol, having the same ammo as your rifle, you probably are either way stocked up on food or don't have enough food because you're not thinking straight. You need to think more about food first and shelter first and all that kind of stuff. Your guns are secondary. That they're just to get you there, And
I'm curious what Ghost thoughts is on this, but there's a lot of really cheap body armor that if you're going to run a pistol caliber carbine, we're talking about whatever scenario you're running into, you're likely to run into someone with some hot garbage AR 500 armor, just some steel armor, and that 9mm probably is not going to cause them much of a problem. You start running some real rounds, though, that's a bigger problem. So that's why I'm with you. I like to carry pistol on my pistol and my rifle, right? Separate the calibers. Ghost, what are your thoughts on that?
Okay, so I would agree with that, except for once again, I'm not a hunter and all that. So when I'm talking about that, I'm talking about self-defense. I'm talking about home defense. So in a home defense scenario, I love running a 9mm PCC for a truck gun to go along with my Glock. Why? Because that 9mm PCC is not only going to share 9mm ammo, but once again, I'm not looking for anything outside probably 100, 200 yards in that truck scenario, but it also shares magazines. So you can load up your carrier or your chest rig or whatever with 10 Glock mags instead of having to worry about 5.56 and a 9mm mag. So in that scenario, I'm a big fan of sharing ammo and magazines. But if you're going out on a patrol, then I'm taking my battle rifle and I'm taking my sidearm. I'm taking 223, 5.56. I'm taking 9mm, and that's just how I roll. But in a home situation or a truck gun situation, like I'm just trying to get home or whatever. Yeah, I'm probably gonna go and share magazines and ammo with those carbines and pistols. But that's just me. But I'm not a big hunter, so I do hear what you're saying.
And I think that's a big thing people run into, even with optics and with ammo. They always want to know what's the best choice. And, Ghost really highlighted it. What's your mission, right? What's your mission set? Because as you said, too, hey, you're home defense. Like, oh, yeah, my 9 PCC is going to be good. But if someone's going to raid my home with body armor on, we got a seriously bad situation going on. But, then same with going on patrol, I'm likely to run into something different. So, and same with you hunting. Like, why would you run a PCC hunting? That would be kind of weird. So, And same with the optics. How me and Ghost may be engaging is going to define the optics we're going to use. The mission's going to define it. It's not going to be which one. This one's the best. Like, there's not a best. There's one that's better for each mission set. That's about it.
Yeah. Now, as far as hunting concerned, I've always wanted to take a whitetail deer with a pistol or a PCC. I had the opportunity one time, but my hunting vest was over my holster, and the deer was literally like 2 yards from me. So I just reached with my rifle, saw brown in the scope, and pulled the trigger.
That's called tactical girth. Just so you can take that.
By the way, here in Arkansas, Chuck, this in Arkansas, a white-tailed deer is considered large game here. So,
right. Yeah, and Georgia was the same way. I mean, I grew up in Georgia, and I would love to hunt deer with a PCC. I think it would be fun. I'd like the challenge. To me, it's legal, but no different than trying to shoot them in the head with a .22 Magnum, right? Yeah. But I would love to hunt deer with that. But for me, I would definitely see that for home defense, like up here, you got to have a home defense. Like, I live in the country now. It is a very viable thing that if I have the windows open in the summer and I'm cooking salmon, that a black bear is going to walk right through my door. All right. That is so when you're talking home defense for me, I want a rifle there for that purpose. Now you're talking to somebody, if there are 5 criminals breaking in at once and one's got body armor on, I want a rifle there. So I'm never far away from a rifle or a shotgun. It's my personal opinion. But that's just me. I believe in that old adage, the handgun is to get you to a rifle. If I have to pull my handgun out, yes, I'm dumping rounds into that guy's chest till they go down, but I'm moving myself and getting towards my rifle if I have to. Because if I have to load another magazine on my handgun, I'm in deep trouble, You
want to really ruin a guy's day who's got level 3 plus level 4 armor on. Mm-hmm. Take a shotgun with a slug in it. That'll mess him up. If it doesn't go through his armor, he's going to be hurting for a while.
Not going to be standing.
Speaking of body armor,
can you imagine?
Speaking of body armor, my actual first body armor test video comes out tomorrow. It's that caddy armor I was talking about, CATI, and like you said, it's AR 500 type steel stuff, right? That's $99 shipped to Alaska. When I bought a plate from AR 500. It was $115 for a plate, and I paid $205 total with shipping. I mean, I paid $90 shipping here. They put it in a flat rate shipping box from the USPS and shipped it $99 shipped. And we destroyed that thing, but we never punched through it. I mean, we shot everything from 22 to 9 mil to 10 mil to 6.5 Creedmoor, the M855 ball, XM193. 7 mag was the only thing that almost went through it. So spoiler alert, everybody wants to see the video tomorrow. But
I did a test a year or so ago on a piece of armor. It was rated level 3 plus, and I got it for $35 on eBay. I said, interesting. I just want to see what this is like, and not a problem. All handgun, no problem. It even took a 2.23 at 75 yards without punching through. So, like I said, I mean, it's just I'm not saying that all of them are like that, but people don't discount something because of price. Sometimes it's just as quality. It just doesn't have the name brand on it. It might be someone that's making it in their steel in their metal shop or something that cuts it out of a scrap piece of steel or something. But a lot of people get hung up on the snobbish brands. But I'm telling you, this $35 piece of steel worked just fine. Inside 75 yards, even 2.23.
My only argument with steel is the shrapnel piece. Just because I like ceramic because I'm capturing the rounds. So if someone shoots me, I'm capturing it. If I'm by myself, I'm good with steel because then it's just if you shoot me and it bounces off it's going to go to your right and left. But if I have a bunch of teammates, every shot that I get hits them. So that's kind of the thing I watch for with use an AR 500. The shrapnel can be an issue.
And oh, by the way, if anyone's never been shot, even with 22, I don't know, maybe not 22, but let's say 9mm or above with steel on, it's going to stop it. It's going to save your life. You're going to be hurting and you're going to be bruised for a while. Just letting you know, your air is going to get knocked out of you, and you're going to be temporarily out of the fight. But it does keep you in the fight. But yeah, it's going to hurt. And you know, and people don't realize that it's not like it's a bulletproof thing that's just going to bounce off and you're Superman. No, it hurts.
Oh yeah, it hurts.
You guys watch some of Tal Fledermause's videos where he's tested some soft armor that is stopping 12 gauge rounds, and yeah, okay, so you don't have the slug going through you, but can you imagine soft armor getting hit by a slug? That's just unreal. I mean, you're out of the fight, I'm sure.
You're out of the fight. I mean, you're going to be bruised. I mean, you're probably going to break some ribs. I mean, there's all sorts of stuff bad that could happen to you, even though you've got that quote unquote armor on. You know,
because at least the hard armor is gonna displace all of the force across the entire surface area of the plate. So yeah, you may get some in a certain area where you're going to get some displacement on the back of the plate, but the majority of it's going to come straight. With soft armor, you're not going to get any of that. No, thank you.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I've seen some of it where, you know, it's hitting the soft armor, and the section of soft armor that caught the slug is inside the dummy that's wearing the soft armor. At that point, I'm not sure it's even saving your life.
Yeah.
It's catching the bullet, but it's not saving your life.
Yeah. Well, one thing is those dummies aren't exactly the same density as we are. But there is that. But what do you guys think, Walsh and Ghost, what do you guys think about trauma pads beneath your they sell those?
I run them.
You run them?
Yeah, I do.
For that particular
if I'm running AR500 steel, if I'm running steel, yeah, 100%, absolutely. If I'm running ceramic,
yeah, absolutely. Ceramics can be thicker. Yeah, I won't wear it. But if I'm running steel, yeah, one of my carriers right now, I'm running steel front and back. Yeah, absolutely, trauma plate for sure. And for no other reasons, it's going to be a lot more comfortable. Let's be honest. But you don't want the soft armor. I will say the one beautiful thing about the creativity of soft armor is you can get it pretty cheap. I wouldn't trust to put in a vest or a carrier of any kind, but they're wonderful to put in backpacks, like your EDC backpack. Wonderful for that. Not only do they give you a little bit of protection, but they also make that rigid back, the line where if you have stuff in there, it's not going to jab you in the back. It does, you know, give that rigid hard line. But those are great for backpacks, but I would not trust them at all for wearing around.
That's a fair point.
Yeah, absolutely same. Trauma pads, I wouldn't do 500 steel without. I think if you're gonna run steel, if you're gonna run a little bit cheaper, I think there's some ceramic you can get that's really good for $99. It's not made by a good company. I've seen it do some good stuff though. I would still say I would get cheaper ceramics before I would say to get steel. But if you're gonna run steel, please run a trauma pad, because otherwise you're gonna get that full force of steel. If you were to get hit, that whole plate is gonna come at you. Have fun with that.
Yeah, thank you for answering my question. So I actually have ceramic in the front and the caddy armor plates in the back that are steel. So I have a level 4 ceramic in the front. It's that Botac tactical stuff you were talking about, $99. And Mr. Guns and Gear did a video on it. And
it's pretty good stuff, actually, bro. It's good stuff.
It's 5.5 pounds. I'll tell you what, it's light, it's cheap. It can stop. Yeah, it can stop AP rounds.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he shot a 308 AP at 25 yards and it stopped it. So that's what I have on my front.
Yards. He's at 15 yards.
Oh, 15 yards. Wow. I was that's what I got in my front of my carrier and my wife's carrier, just to, and then I got the caddy armor in the back, level 3+. I figured, if I'm running away, I better be running fast. So of course it's my fat ass. I probably should switch those because I'm pretty slow. So I'm just saying. Anyway,
I did see someone's comment. They were talking about replacing barrels, about how barrels are expendable. I did want to definitely chime in on that and say, absolutely agree. I'm not a big fan of Gucci ARs. I like to, because every single piece of an AR is replaceable. It's all field strippable. I can strip with any part ever. So when you tell me there's a high end AR, like, cool, they still break and they're still going to need pieces. And if I need a better piece, I'll just change that piece. There's not a real big difference to me between a $700 AR and a $4,000 AR that I can't make them the same really quickly. So agreed. I would get it. If I do a build, I'm going to do a super high end barrel just because you get the accuracy. But even then, it's not that much more expensive. And then a nice bolt carrier and a nice trigger. Everything else is a wash. But I know that barrels, I'm going to switch it out sooner or later. The bolt carrier probably lasts forever, and the trigger lasts forever. So, but yeah, barrels are barrels. You wear them out, get a nice one, but know that you're going to flip it out sooner or later. But yeah, your sets, I don't care.
But now, like a bolt action gun, would you say barrels are expendable, or would you say it's a lot more to change a barrel on most bolt action guns than it is
I'd still say they're a wear item though, because so I got my Tika T3X, and even that I know. I mean, it's only got 3,000 rounds. That's all it's going to take till the barrel's got to be swapped out. I know it's a wear item. Even now, I'm already sourcing barrels for when I need to flip it out, just knowing that it's just what it is. It's like you're going to need brakes on your car eventually. It doesn't matter what you think. It doesn't matter if you think it needs to be replaced or not. It does eventually.
Are you guys LEOs or just live in bad areas? Yeah, the bad area that I live in is called the United States right now. In case you haven't checked it out, there's a fake pandemic and there's riots in the streets and there's I have bears and moose in my yard and whatever on top of that. So yeah,
I live in a blue state, so
I live in a super safe state. So I live in a really easy area, but I do believe in preparedness and knowing what you're doing. Knowing how to do land navigation, having your ham radio certifications, know how to do its radios, know how to do nighttime navigation. There's certain things that just make you better weapon system. You know how to do them, like a seatbelt. I hope you never have to use your seatbelt, but I'm gonna tell you put it on every day. And kind of the same thing with this. Am I gonna need a plate carrier? Probably not. But when it comes down to it, you're going to be pretty happy I have 2 of them and 1 you can borrow.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, there you go. Yeah, that's how I am. If it's worth carrying 1 gun, it's worth carrying 2. Dang, we've gotten down to the bottom of the chat. Hey, there you go, Pro and Wolf. Let us know in the comments. So anyway, don't see a lot of questions in the chat tonight. I need a semi-auto 20mm anti-tank rifle. Don't we all?
Don't we all? I really want a Mark 19, but
no,
yeah,
who wouldn't?
Yeah.
Yep. So, all right. All that being said, it's been a great chat. It's been about an hour and 12 minutes. Last time it lasted like an hour and a half, hour and 50 minutes, and my wife was like dealing with the baby herself all night. So, anyway, final thoughts. What videos you guys got coming out soon? What you guys got going on? So, Ghost, we'll start with you.
Yeah, man, thanks for having me on. I always enjoy coming on the shows because I get a chance to talk about stuff that I usually don't get to talk about on my stuff. So I really enjoy that. One thing I'll say is this. I'm going to go on a little preach real quick. It's the holiday season. Remember that we're home enjoying our families and friends. There are people downrange right now that are defending who we are, defending our freedom, defending our flag that can't come home. So I'm doing a big thing. Raise over $200 tonight. We're going to send care packages to deployed troops overseas for Christmas. And if you've never been deployed, you've never been overseas during Christmas, I've been there a couple times. Getting a care package or getting a package from anyone during Christmas is an awesome thing. Socks, toothbrush, toothpaste, beef jerky, stuff like that. You have no idea. So if you've got $5, $10, $1, whatever, put together a care package, or you can even go over to Operation Gratitude and donate $5, and they'll put together a care package for you and make sure the troops get it over there for Christmas. But just remember, there's a lot of people over there that cannot be home for Christmas, so let's not forget them. So I'm trying to get everyone to get involved to somehow, some way, whether it's yourself or find an organization, put together a care package, take it to your local recruiter and say, I want to send this overseas. I don't know what to do. They'll take care of it for you. But let's remember the guys and gals downrange right now that would love to have something from just some random stranger saying thank you. A thank you card. You don't even have to give them anything. Just send a thank you card overseas, and that means so much. People don't realize how uplifting that is to receive stuff. So that's all I got. Thanks, man.
Can you give that website?
Yeah, it's called Operation Gratitude, and it's one of the few Department of Defense approved websites that are not a scam, that actually take donations, and they will put together care packages over there. So I just my last chat tonight raised like $250. We're going to send that over there tomorrow, and they're going to guarantee that they're going to get the care packages over there to the guys and gals before Christmas. So you can put them together yourself, or just donate money to an organization that does that. But care packages, man, I'm telling you, people really love that.
That's good to know. Thank you for that.
You got it.
Yep. Well, final thoughts. I know, and videos you got coming up soon. Direct.
Yeah, just add on to Ghost. Catch up with me later. We'll talk offline. I usually get some Girl Scout stuff. We usually get like, I don't know, 8 to 10 cases of Girl Scout cookies that I like to send out. And sometimes I run out of having enough people to send them to. It sounds hilarious, but I send a couple out, and I'm having that many, you kind of run out. So I'll get with you offline, and I'll make sure we have some stuff set up. Obviously, it's not Girl Scout season, but worst case, we plan for something later. We'll set it up. Videos coming out. So this week I have a Primary Arms PLX 1x8. This is their Platinum series. This thing is absolutely ridiculous. It's both ridiculous in price and quality. So just know it's not their normal budget entry level. So I'm going to show you what you kind of get. We're then going to be going into, I'm going to show you the Vortex UH1, which is, there's probably a lot of reviews on it already. But we're going to do a couple different red dots. So we're going to do like the UH1, and then just do simple ones like a Sig Romeo 5, how to set it up where that's the only red dot you're going to need. You spend $100, that's all you're going to need. You get yourself a nice rifle, you get the right pieces like some people in chat were talking about, get a nice barrel, nice trigger, nice bolt carrier group, cheap optic, but you zero it correctly, and you can be quite a weapon system. And then we're going to finally go into LPVOs versus red dots. Do you really even need one? Is that red dot just that one single dot almost really
rolled over his head?
So that's what we're going into next few bit. We're going to be having some gear and gadget reviews too. We love to hear what you want to see. I have an Eagle Operator gun belt coming out too. I don't love that, but we'll be talking about that soon too.
Rob, go ahead.
I upload every Monday. I think this next Monday will probably be the 9mm barrel length comparison. I've got several things kind of waiting in the wings. Got a great Christmas episode that's going to come up. I think I'm probably going to upload that on Christmas Eve. It's going to be kind of like my Thanksgiving one, where we're just blowing stuff up, and probably end it with a big bang.
All right. So, sorry, my son rolled over and hit his head, so I was off there for a little bit. He's all right. Anyway, so I got the Caddy Armor video tomorrow. So thanks everybody for coming to the chat. There we go. Yeah, I might do that. So, in fact, the AK Attorney General's Texas probably needs to sue Alaska, because there's some shenanigans going on here at the voting too. I don't even want to get into it, but they know they physically know that the election was hacked. They don't know if they think all they got was voter information, but that's that. Alaskan Archer is here. I just want to say hi. It's my buddy. Thanks, man, for jumping in on the live chat. So, wanted to say hi to him. So that's that. Yeah, so I got the Caddy Armor video tomorrow. I'm working on another song like I did for the 10mm. I think I've sang it for y'all before, but it's Irish drinking song. From my cold dead hands, you can take my guns from me. All right, so yeah, it's I'm working on that. I've got the music almost written, and I should have the MP3 by the end of the week, hopefully. So I'll be sending out invitations to send me lip syncing, so I can get a whole bunch of people in the video. So yeah, so you can lip sync. You Ghost, you can play your AR guitar again. So that was.
I'm in, bro. I'm in.
Yeah. So actually, I might do that myself. I might. There's a lead guitar in this one that's synthesized, of course, but it's an acoustic guitar, and so I'm gonna play my new 6.5 Creedmoor with and do the rhythm like air guitar, but I can actually air guitar the lead. So, yeah. So, yeah, I'm oh, come on, Armin and Accents. You already know I'm a musician. So, Yeah. Brownies just put this link out there several times in the chat for us for Operation Gratitude. Thank you very much. So make sure you did that. Cool. Yeah, thanks, Joseph, for coming by. Anyway, so that's what I got going on soon. I've got a 480 Ruger video to put out, 357 mag barrel length, the 44 mag barrel length comparison, a couple of them. So that's that. So anyway, guys, stay true. Keep fighting for the Second Amendment. It's going to be tough for a while, but God gave every human being on this earth the right to defend themselves. And if the government's going to have guns and take away their life, they have the right to defend themselves from that. So Prome Wolf says the 10 millimeter song is the best millimeter is stuck in his head. Yeah. So my wife was complaining earlier today that she finally got the 10 millimeter song out of her head, and then she got the new one stuck in her head because she's been hearing the music blaring from my computer speakers. So, yeah. So anyway, honestly, I like little channels better. Well, thank you, Max. I'm not trying to stay little, but none of us are. But yeah,
we are.
Yeah.
Can we just turn more subscribers off? Is that an option?
Yeah, no. Not if you want to be monetized eventually, Rob. So anyway, yep. So yeah. And if you're not familiar, Walsh, with the 10 millimeter song, you got to go look that up. Ghost is playing his AR-15 like it's a guitar. He's got a bulletproof armor vest on it with holes in it, playing his guitar. It's pretty cool. So,
you gotta have fun with it, bro. You gotta have fun with it,
Yeah. And after that, both him and Pat RMG that are in the video, their subscribers just went way up. So it had to be singing in the video. Yeah.
I attest any growth that I have because of you this year. So thanks, bro.
Well, yeah. I'm sure if they were smart, you probably lost subscribers on that video. I know I did. But that's that. So 10 millimeter is the best millimeter. One full centimeter, guys. All right. We'll see you guys later. God bless. Take care. See you at the range. And we are